To start this season, Zion Williamson wasn't exactly in the best shape of his career. He didn't seem to be moving with the same type of fluidity or explosiveness that we'd gotten used to over the years. Looked like he lost some stamina, and as a result, his numbers pretty much dropped across the board. As the seasons progressed though, he's played himself into better and better physical condition, and now looks incredible. Take this play for example. It's a jump ball on the opposite side of the court with just 6 seconds left, so when Zion gets possession, it's a race against the clock. The speed with which he pushes it down court, gets into the lane, and finishes is just awesome to see. Or how about that explosiveness? Here's another one in transition, this time away from the ball, and the vertical pop that turned him into a sensation looks like it might just be back. When Zion's in shape, he's one of the most impressive athletes, not just in NBA history, but in all of sports. He's got incredible burst going left or right, with a first step so quick that most defenders aren't even able to react in time. And he pairs that agility with the build of a defensive end. So even if a defender's able to step in front of him, unless they get their entire body there, he's going right through them like they don't exist and taking it to the rack. In addition to the speed and power, he's got a pretty secure handle. So on a play like this where help slides down to the nail, instead of picking up his dribble early, he works his way through that small gap and finds an angle to the rim. Having a good handle is huge for giving him counters in the event that his initial attack gets defended well. He first tries a drive right, only to immediately spin back to his left, and all he needs is just half a step by his defender. If that on-the-floor game wasn't tough enough to defend, his vertical pop is on another level, so if he gets to the paint and a shot blocker stands in his way, he's still able to finish over or around them. You'll have these plays where it looks like he puts himself in impossible situations with no angle at all to finish, and then he just creates a layup out of thin air. Now, the natural response to guarding this level of slashing from a player who can't shoot would be to sag off and overplay the paint. One problem though, there's nobody in the league better at attacking space. I talked about the burst. When defenders let him build ahead of steam without resistance, good luck staying in front of him. I also said that all he needs is half a step. By giving him room to attack, that might as well be a guarantee. Then you best believe he'll find an angle to finish. And when I say angle to finish, that could mean anything inside the paint. Here you see that burst to attack space, but with help loading up early, he's forced to take off from a bit further. That's one of the most ridiculous finishes I've ever seen. It's not just the burst that allows him to eat up space though. He's also incredible at changing directions. So when he attacks one way and redirects, he'll make defenders look like they're standing in cement. Basically what I'm getting at is the fact that it's really difficult to stay in front of him. And if you somehow do, then there's the strength, creating some space with the shoulder before spinning into a jump hook. In other words, sagging off of Zion essentially gives him a free paint touch, and him touching the paint means him getting a shot up, regardless of how well the defense plays it. To make things even tougher, they'll throw some screens into the equation. This isn't your regular ball screen. Notice how he's angled, almost like an offensive lineman blocking for his running back. And we just talked about how good Zion is at attacking space. As a result, opposing bigs often have to come up high so that he can't turn the corner. Better protect both sides though, because he can also reject the screen and create a lane that way. Some of these screening actions start off of movement, maybe with a handoff, and as soon as Brook Lopez sits back in that deep drop, Zion's using the paint as his personal launch pad. Most of the time it's an open side pick and roll. What I want you to focus on is how low they set the screen. If there's even the smallest gap for him to attack, there's really not much you can do to recover. Look at this one. When the screen comes, LeBron goes under so that he can meet Zion in the paint, but with that explosive 2-foot leap, he never had a chance. Bigs have to close that space right off the screen. This time Davis jumps out to not let him turn the corner, only he's still left a sliver of room to split down the middle. Another thing you'll see the Pelicans do quite a bit with Zion initiating is set these ghost screens. If that second defender doesn't jump out, he'll start his drive. And Holiday's pretty sturdy, but even he's no match for that much force. The reason these ghost screens are so tough to guard is because if the second guy does load up, that leaves the shooter open for a brief moment, and all of a sudden you're giving up a high quality 3. Or in the case of Ingram, that could mean a high quality midi, and as soon as Hachimura slides down from up top to help, he made the mistake of giving Zion space. From there, all it takes is a stampede, and he's got himself another layup. Plays like that show why he's such a tough cover away from the ball. Typically, you want your rim protector to be helping off of the worst shooter, except in the case of Zion, that means catching the ball with a lane to attack. In a way, he's still able to provide spacing, even if he's not going to shoot from outside. Lose him and he's diving at the basket. Not even Anthony Davis has an answer for that. For the same sort of reasons you don't want him catching the ball with space to get downhill, you definitely don't want him catching the ball anywhere near the basket. Even if it looks like a defender's there, those quick moves are lethal. And as I mentioned before, you also have to worry about the explosive 2-foot leaping. If he's in the dunker spot and rim protectors stand in his way, he'll just go over the top. That bounce also helps him on the offensive glass. There are very few guys who are getting to that ball before him, and the scorekeepers might as well add an automatic 2 points. Another way you'll see him get the ball in close is by sealing off low post position, especially when he's matched up with a smaller defender. He's a tough cover with his back to the basket, not because he's got a versatile set of moves, but because of sheer physical prowess. And I'm not just talking about the low post, but from further out as well. Once again, he'll make quick moves right off the catch, where that agility is just too much to handle. Over his last 10 games, Zion's getting to the rim for 14 shot attempts every 75 possessions. Do you know how absurd that is? No other player in the NBA is averaging more than 12 this season. Obviously, defenses can't just let him finish at will around the basket, so a lot of times they're forced to resort to fouling. Again, over those last 10, attempting 8 free throws per 75 and converting on a pretty impressive 78.6% of them. These marks have led to some really impressive overall scoring, just under 28 points per 75 on 64.5% true shooting. Only 3 other players match or exceed those marks on the year: Shea, Giannis, and Jokic. That's some pretty good company if you ask me. Scoring at this rate, with it all coming in one area of the floor, of course demands added attention, and Zion seems to grow as a playmaker every single game. It could be something as simple as an extra defender sitting at the nail, which leaves a shooter all alone on the opposite wing. Or maybe when he gets the ball in the post, he immediately draws a double and kicks it back out to the entry passer. But if it were only basic reads, he probably wouldn't be putting up the type of assist numbers that he is. Just a month ago, he had the first game of his career in double digits with 11 dimes against Utah, and 2 weeks after that, he had 10 in a big win against the Clippers. In his most recent game, he had 8, and all of this is while keeping his turnovers relatively low. Let's go back to the post. Utah appears to be in some sort of zone here, and Zion makes a great cross-court find to Herb Jones for a wide-open 3. Or what about those screening actions I talked about? Remember, bigs have to jump out early, which results in quite a few possessions of him having 2 on the ball. This time he looks to hit the roller, but watches Harden drop from the weak side corner and makes the right decision to instead hit Dyson Daniels on a stampede to the rim. Just as a quick reminder, here's what it looks like whenever the defense doesn't load up. So pick your poison as you wish. All that's to say, despite a slow start to the season, Zion looks incredible right now. The fluidity, explosiveness, and conditioning are improving with every passing week. The way he's reading defenses as both an attacker and playmaker allows him and the Pelicans to counter all sorts of looks. And the team that started 9-9 has since gone 24-13, now just 3 games back from a home court spot in the loaded West. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of Zion. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.